Hello.
All you have to do to lose weight and have the perfect body is to eat less. How many times have you heard that tired old lie? Want to lose weight? Go on an extremely low-calorie diet.
Oh. I should turn the volume down on that. Oh, yeah. Here just got an ad about some very attractive looking man telling you about all the diet things. That's what mine just showed me. Hi everyone. So what I've observed with these live classes so far is that just like hi Laura, just like in in-person classes, I think, hi Kira B123, you've got the people who are just like, they come in and they set up their mat and then they're just sitting here and they're like maybe doing some little stretches or whatever. And then you get the people who are like chatting to everybody else and everything. And hello Sasha, hello Aria, hello Malabar Princess Yoga. Oh, hello. Remind me what your name is, because I know it's not Malabar Princess Yoga. Yeah, and I feel like, yeah, on the column here where I can see everybody's comments, like those are the chatty people. Hi, Laura. And then the rest of you are just like, yeah, you're the ones like you've set up your mat and you're just keeping to yourself. Ellen. Sorry, gosh. Hello, excited to be here again. So I'm really excited as well. We'll get started in about 10 minutes. Hi from Minnesota. Oh my gosh, I almost did this thing. I'm going to do it now. I like to say Minnesota in what I perceive as a Minnesota accent, and I could be completely wrong. I like to say Minnesota. Hello from Munich. Hello. So hello, Minnesota. Sorry if I've said that not in the Minnesota accent. Hey, Sarah made it to the live. Hey, Sarah. Who else have I got here? Who has been here for the last two? And I totally appreciate that some of you are in another part of the world where last week's would have been the middle of the night for you, or some of you, yeah, hi from Canada, Toronto. So excited to be able to actually practice live with you this time. Yeah, excited to do my first live class. Oh, cool. Well, welcome, Joanne. This is the third for me, Laura. Been to all of them so far. Another Laura. Well, hello, all the Lauras. I think I've got 3 Lauras in here so far. Only for the first class. Yeah, I know last week was probably like the middle of the night for some of you, isn't it? Paraskevi from Switzerland. You've been here every time. Awesome. Not that, like, yeah, I mean, you don't get bonus points or anything for it because I can't ask people to join all the time. Aria Di Circo, that is such a cool name, from Italy. And we've got as well Chiara from Milan. Jackson Hole, Wyoming. That sounds like a lovely place. I've never been to any of the northern states because I grew up in Mississippi. So I've never been up to like Wyoming, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Hi from Bulgaria. Oh, hello. I love Bulgaria. I had a great time in Sofia. Hello from Madrid. Hola. Sorry, my Spanish is like So I can say, hola, ¿qué tal? Hello from Lebanon. Oh, cool. Best food in the world. Cool. So, I was gonna start talking about the class, but that's not fair to the people who haven't joined yet. You must come teach in Jackson. Is that as in Jackson Hole? Yeah, Jackson Hole. So beautiful. Are there mountains there? Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I'm trying to think. Wyoming is like up by the Dakotas, isn't it? Cool. So, Zimbabwe. Cool. That's a place I'd like to visit. All around there. Zimbabwe and Namibia and South Africa. Oh my gosh, I would love to go around there. One day. Hello from the French Alps, beautiful. And from Venice, Italy. I'm reading a book right now that takes place in Venice. So I feel like I've been there because like in my mind, I've been like going through all the canals and stuff. Although it takes place in like the 16th century, so a bit different to how Venice is now. Have you seen dolphins? Sorry if that's a question that you get asked all the time by your non-Venetian friends. Hello from Austin, another place that I've heard is so cool. I've always wanted to visit Austin. The Tetons are incredible mountains in between Montana, close to Yellowstone. Cool. I must make it up there one day. The world is so big, so many places to visit. It's yeah, I can imagine it's strange there. It's okay. Here's a question. Is anybody else getting kind of used to this new norm? In that, like, so I was out this morning to go do my yoga practice in the park, and I saw a woman sitting in a chair outside of the front door of people's homes, and so they were probably a good 3 or 4 meters apart from each other, and they were just sitting having a chat. Like she had gone to visit her friends, but they were keeping their distance as they sat in their front door. And of course, like a month ago, or however long this has been now, I'm not even keeping track. That would have been such a strange thing, you know. You would have been like, "What are they doing?" But it struck me how normal it seemed, and I was just thinking about how like, and even this, like all of the online things and everything. Is anybody else going kind of like, hang on, it's incredible how normal all of this feels now. A local from Bournemouth. As an American, I want to say Bournemouth, but I know it's pronounced Bournemouth, isn't it? Bournemouth. Flexible mind. You're flexible in everything. I think it's good to be flexible in the mind, probably more than the body. Yeah. Francisco and Kat. Oh, okay. We all learn English then. So you don't care how I pronounce Bournemouth. Cool. Well, as we're getting closer to the starting point, let's see. Distance and video chats are starting to feel normal. The online yoga and meditation available is a huge upside to quarantining. None of us would be here right now otherwise, so thank you. Yeah, it does still strike me as how freaking cool it is. Like, that we can all, I mean, we've got people from Zimbabwe and the French Alps and Montana and yeah, all of the places. And hello, Micah from Germany. Yeah, so it is pretty cool. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and just say real quick as we're getting closer to the starting point and I see more and more people are joining, just to remind you that once I get started and I'm sitting over there, I will not be looking at the chat. So I won't be able to see your comments. And therefore, I also obviously cannot see you. And nobody else can see you or hear you. I am not going to play any music. So if you want to put a playlist on, if there's something that you like to practice to, then go ahead and put that on now, because nobody else here at this class is going to be able to hear that. Got a few more joining. Hello from Jupiter, Florida. Cool. What a cool town name. I live in Jupiter. And hello from Romania. Annie Suara, you were here last week, I think, because I probably butchered your name last week, right? Or no, maybe it was somebody else from Romania whose name I butchered. But yeah, so we'll get started in another couple of minutes. Ooh, Vancouver, cool. Another place I really want to visit. Not so far away, England. Anybody from London? Is anybody else here like joining from actual London? Because I'm in Queen's Park, Zone 2, NW6. And I just wonder if there's anybody. Well, my friend Steph is supposed to be joining. Steph, are you here? I'm in London from Greta. We're in York from Vienna. W11, Imogen, cool. London here. E3, Notting Hill. Oh yeah, of course, Sarah. York, hello from Texas. London, Texas, maybe. I think not last week, week before we had somebody from London, Ontario. Isn't there a London? No, it's Paris, Texas, isn't it? That's what I'm thinking about. Cool, yeah, quite a few of you from London. Oh, this is so special. Okay, so it's just ticked over 5 o'clock. So we will get started. If you're just joining now, if you're a bit of a latecomer, just get settled. I'm just going to explain the class to you a little bit. This class is focused around core strength, but in particular, well, abdominal strength and the deep core strength, but in the range of motion for a back bend. So whenever we're going into extension. And it's a pretty simple class. That doesn't mean easy though, remember. Just simple in that we're gonna take it quite slow. And we will be finishing in a wheel pose. That's kind of what we're going to build up towards. If at this point you're like, oh no, backbends, wheel pose, I can't stand that stuff, then just calm yourself down. It's all good because we're going to be working in a way that really starts to stabilize. We'll get the spine really stabilized, and there's going to be a few points along the way that I will stop and just break things down a little bit for you. And just before we get started, you don't need any kind of props, although those of you, I know some of you just love your props, so please have them at the ready if there's anything that you do want to grab. But we'll be facing more or less the same way the whole time. I had to think about it for a second. Also I've got my phone over here, just so you know, if I'm looking over that way, that's what I'm doing, is just to check that everything is still working. So without any further ado, we'll get started. So to begin, just sit on your bum in whatever position feels comfortable, and we'll begin just centering ourselves in. So close your eyes. If that feels strange or uncomfortable, you can always just gaze down at the floor in front of you. Allow your arms to rest on your knees, in your lap, down by your sides, whatever feels comfortable. And take a few deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the nose. Just begin to let your mind quiet and still. I always think about that point when maybe you've been driving for a while and you've been going on the freeway, on the motorway, going quite fast, but then you drive into the side roads and you have to slow down. And at first, when you go from going quite fast to a slower speed, it feels like you're creeping along so slowly and you almost want to keep going at that same fast speed that you were at before. But once you give yourself a few minutes just to adjust, you find that that new slowed down speed feels quite comfortable and quite fast enough. And that's kind of what we want to do here with our breathing, with our thinking, our thoughts, with our nervous system, really. So just use this gentle inhale and exhale to bring your awareness to anywhere, any part of you, whether that's part of your body physically or part of your mind that just feels like it's still going a bit too fast, a bit too strong. Maybe you just woke up and you're not feeling that way at all, but either way, begin to notice what it feels like to be living in your body right here, right now. Just notice the sensation of the air filling your lungs, hopefully your lungs expanding, your diaphragm downwards, and the soft lifting of the pelvic floor as you exhale. And just taking one more breath, allowing yourself to fill up with gratitude for this present moment. Exhale out anything you don't need. Inhale, lower your chin down to your chest. And exhale, slowly blink your eyes open and look up. Now you can turn to face the short side of your mat or just stay where you are for now. It doesn't really matter too much. No, actually, turn to face the short side of your mat and try and get it so that your knees are up and your feet are flat. And this position itself may feel a little bit like you're having to work, okay? So that's good. Already we're doing a little bit of work. Now we're going to start with the wrists though. And I want you to place your hands flat with the fingertips pointing towards your feet. But then lift your hands just like a centimeter or half an inch off of the mat. And imagine that there's something there and you cannot now, as much as you try, you cannot lower your hand down to the mat. And can you keep your hands, you can bend the elbows if you need to, but keep the hands hovering just off the mat as you slide them back. And you'll find probably the front of your forearms are really, really working hard to do this. Slide them back forward, give them a little roll at the top, then once again, fingertips pointing forwards, just spread comfortably and slide them back. Just don't let the fingers, the hands at all touch the mat as you slide them as far back behind you as you can. This time, lower your hands down just gently, and we'll do a little bit of progressive overload type thing. So just start with a very light amount of weight in your hands back there, maybe rock forwards and backwards, just warming the wrists up. Now with the hands on the mat, then come back to stillness, lift the hands back up, really pull the fingertips towards the forearms, slide them back forward, roll them out, slide them back, lower them down. Again, rock your weight back. Maybe if it feels good, you can start to bring a little bit more weight into your wrists. Maybe your hips come up, and then lower the hips if they're lifted. We'll slide the hands forward once again. Roll them out at the top. Slide them back. This time, see if you can get them a little bit further back. Then lower them down. Again, start to bring a little bit of weight back there into your hands as you rock back and forth, just bringing as much weight into your wrists as it feels okay right now. Maybe the hips come up. Cool. And one more time, slide them forward. Roll them around at the top. Slide them back. Get them as far back as you can. Maybe lean back a little bit. Bend the elbows. Keep the elbows bent. Straight back behind you. Just working into the shoulders a little bit as well. Now, I want you to start turning the hands around to the outside, around to the back as you just lean back, just warming the wrists up. And, it's just a change from doing it in a tabletop position. And you just keep doing that, or do whatever it feels good for you to do right now to warm up your wrists. And I'm going to explain something real quick. We are going to start lifting the hips up, but I want you to do it in a way that you've got a posterior tilt of the pelvis. And so what this means is we are tilting the pelvis backwards, which the way I like to think of it is the hip bones are going to go back behind us, and you want to think about your sit bones going up. So it's a tilt of the pelvis, okay? Posterior tilt. So turn your hands to, so the fingertips point sort of out to the sides or maybe towards the back corners of your mat. Press down through the heels, lift your hips up, but with that posterior tilt. So really trying to get the tailbone to reach up and the tops of your hip bones to reach down. Lower the hips back down. Sweep your right arm forward and then lift the hips up. Reach your right arm back. Keep the glutes really active to get that posterior tilt. Lower the hips down. Sweep your right arm forward and around to the back. Take the left arm forward and up, lift your hips, squeeze your glutes. So think about opening up through the front of the thighs more so than bending into the back. Sweep the left arm down, lower the hips. Same thing, we'll do 2 more each side. So lift the hips up. Start to just open up through the front of the body and just as much as it feels good for you at this point, but don't think about a back bend so much. Sweep the left arm up as you lift the hips up. So not thinking so much about a back bend, but more as just opening up through the front of the thighs and really squeezing the glutes at the top. So right arm comes up and back and down, and we'll finish off with the left arm. Lift the hips up, lower the hips back down. Cool, so hopefully you're feeling good at this point. Can you take the feet wide? Lift the hips up and walk your hands towards your feet so your hips come to your heels. Maybe you can just nice and softly come into a malasana. Maybe you're a little bit more like this in your malasana. It doesn't matter. We're going to just take it as a transition to move back to our hands and knees. Now, as you come into your tabletop position, give me that posterior tilt again. So we really tilt the pelvis back. Think about pointing the tailbone down towards the knees and rock forward towards a plank with the knees down. Come up onto the fingertips of the right hand. If that feels like it's just too much, you can lower the fingertips down, lower the right hand back down and then lift, or you can stay on the fingertips of the right hand and lift the left. So lower the right and then lower the left. And we'll go back the other way, lift up to the left fingertips, up to the right, down on the hand on the left, and lower the right palm down. So keep the glutes active. Pull your heels up towards your knees. Now, if you get a cramp in your hamstring, just shake it out. Keep the feet flexed this time. Give me that posterior tilt of the pelvis. And what we're going to do is just squeezing the glutes, just start to press the hips gently towards the wrists so we go into a bit of extension and open up through the abdominal muscles, really. But now I want you to think about lifting everything back up to where you started, just using your abs. So it's like we're doing crunches. Open up, take an inhale, breathe down towards your belly. Keep the glutes active. Exhale, crunch to close that space. Inhale, open up. Exhale, close the space between the front of the ribs and the hips. Inhale, open up. Exhale, close it back. Last time, inhale. Exhale, close it down. All right. Lower the toes down to the mat. Lower your forearms down. Now I'm going to be honest with you. There's not really an easy way of doing this. So the options to make this a little bit less challenging are just to do not as many. Okay, I'm going to do 10. Maybe you just do 1, or maybe you do 3 or 4. Here's what it looks like. We'll come into a forearm plank. So remember, give me a posterior tilt of the pelvis. So glutes are nice and active. Lift your right leg up, bend the right knee. As you inhale, lower the hips down to the floor. Same kind of movement that we just did. Use your abdominals then to crunch yourself back up to that forearm plank, but keep lifting the hips so you can draw your right knee towards your chin, then bring it back again. Lower the hips as you inhale. Exhale, right knee to the chin. Inhale, lower the hips. Exhale, knee to chin. That's 3. Inhale, lower the hips. Exhale, knee to chin. 4. Breathe, inhale. Exhale, 5. Keep the glutes active. Inhale. Exhale, 6. You should be feeling this in your abdominals. Inhale. Exhale, 7. Remember, you can just stop and take a breather if you need to. Inhale. Exhale, 8. Inhale, glutes stay active. Exhale, 9. Knee as far forward as you can get it. Inhale. Exhale, last one. Draw that right knee as far forward as you can and lower the right shin down to the mat. Lower your left knee down next to the right foot and come up onto your fingertips. Maybe this is enough for you. You want to stay here. Maybe you pull your right heel towards your butt. Or if you can balance here, reach your arms up, take the palms together, and bend the elbows. Try and get the thumbs to touch the back of the neck. Keep squeezing the glutes though. Kind of go for that posterior tilt of the pelvis. And breathe. You should be feeling this in your left glutes, your left hamstrings. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale, lower the forearms back down. Lift the left knee. Step the right foot back. Come back into your forearm plank. We've got 10 more on the other side, or however many you did before. If your tailbone is tilting up, give me that posterior tilt. Squeeze the elbows together slightly. Lift the left leg up this time. Bend the left knee. Inhale, lower the hips just to touch. Exhale, draw the left knee all the way forward as you lift the hips up. Inhale, hips down. Exhale, knee forward. Inhale. This is 3. Knee forward. Inhale, glutes stay active. Exhale, knee forward. Inhale. Exhale, that's 5. Inhale. Exhale, that's 6. Inhale. 7. 2 more. 8. 9. Woo, last time. Draw the left knee as far forward as you can, then lower the left shin, lower the right knee down. Come up onto the fingertips, pull the right heel towards your butt. This is probably the hardest part of the whole class. Don't worry, it's all kind of smooth sailing-ish. But this is just to get your glutes and core really, really working. So pull the right heel towards your butt. You can stay on your fingertips. Or if you can balance, Reach the arms up, bring the palms together. Bend the elbows, so we're stretching out the triceps as well. Try not to let the rib cage flare out. Think about drawing your ribs down and in. Keep the glutes active. And breathe. Whew. Good. One more breath here. And exhale. Lower your forearms back down to the mat. Lift the right knee up. Step the left foot back. Find posterior tilt of the pelvis. Take an inhale. As you exhale, slowly lower the hips all the way down just to touch. And then lift back up for 3. Lower down and lift for 2. I know, I'm killing you. Lower down, lift back up. Woo. All right, lower the hips down. Take the tops of the feet to the mat and bring your arms down by your side. Take a little breather. Whew. All right. Some little juicy spinal warm-ups now. So bring your fingertips just to the outsides of where your shoulders are. Try not to have too much weight in your fingers at all, in your hands at all. Let your back body muscles do the work here. Squeeze your glutes, press the tops of the feet down into the mat, lift just the chest, the shoulders, and the head. Take an inhale, look over your left shoulder. You can even twist through the shoulders a little bit, let the right shoulder drop, and lower everything down to the mat. Squeeze your glutes, lift up the chest, the shoulders, the head. Look over the right shoulder, lower down. We'll just do a few of those. So lift up, look over the left, lower down, lift up, look over the right, lower down. Maybe you get a little bit of a rhythm going. Maybe you find something here that feels really nice for you. Maybe you get some even bigger circles, something of your own that you make up that just feels good for you. But try and keep the belly button down and the tops of the feet down so it's all coming from the shoulders and the thoracic spine and the neck a little bit as well. All right, and whenever you're ready, just make a little pillow with your hands, turn your face in a direction where you can see the screen. I'm going to demonstrate for you what I want your upward facing dog to look like for the rest of this class. And we're not going to do a huge amount anyway, but all right. So when we go into an upward facing dog, typically it's very easy to just let the hips sink and let gravity pull us down into this really deep bend of the back, just isolated into the low back. So the way that I invite you to try this time is just like we just did. Press the tops of the feet down, just lift up your chest and your shoulders, your head, as much of you, maybe if you're super strong and bendy, you can lift up even more of your rib cage off the mat. But wherever you go to, and that's as far as you can go, slide your hands under your shoulders, press the tops of the feet into the mat, then lift up. And try not to go any deeper into that bend than where you got to on your own strength. Can you see how I'm not going any deeper into an upward facing dog? I'm not bending my back anymore. I'm just staying in the same shape that I got to with my own strength. So give that a try. And when you get there, just like we did before in our forearm plank, think about your abdominal muscles and contract them. Close that space between the front of the ribs and the hips to lift yourself up into a plank. Squeeze your glutes. Come back to that upward facing dog just where you were before. Then close the space. One more time. Squeeze the glutes. Just come into your own personal little upward facing dog. Then lift the hips up and back using your abdominals. Keep pressing the hips back to come into your downward facing dog. So flip over onto your feet off of the the tops of your feet. And, do whatever movements you like to do here in your downward facing dog. Bend the knees if you need to. Think about pressing your shoulders up towards your ears and your chest back towards your thighs. Keep the rib cage in. Try not to let the ribs flare out. Take a deep breath and let it all out. Lift the right leg up. Take an inhale. As you exhale, lower it down just in front of the left. Lift the left leg up. Exhale, lower it down. Walk the feet all the way to the top, lifting the leg as high as you can on the way. So taking these gigantic steps, similar to what we've done in previous classes, until your feet get all the way to the front of the mat. Keep the feet wide, or place the feet nice and wide, about shoulder width distance, and bring yourself up to stand. Now, as you stand here, I want you to give me, once again, that posterior tilt, okay? So really focusing on keeping the low back lengthened. And once again, you can kind of do this with me if you want, or just watch me to begin with. We're going to work into a little bit of a sissy squat. If you've never done that before, this is what it looks like. You come up onto your tiptoes, you bend your knees, and you do not do any kind of back bend. Everything from your hips to your head stays the same. You just bend the knees. So you kind of go into this like going into under a limbo pole kind of movement. So again, I want us to think about like progressive overload with this, and in that way, I mean, maybe if you've never done this before, if it feels really challenging, what you do to begin with is just a very little bit. And the way that you measure how far you can go is go only as low down as you can, and then lift all the way back up again. So if you go to this point and then you're like, oh gosh, I can't get back up, then that's your sign that you've gone a little bit too far, okay? So give that a go a few times, but make sure that it's not coming into your back at all. Keep that posterior tilt of the pelvis. Come up onto the tiptoes, bend the knees. Try a few times this sissy squat. Now, so some of us will go into something like just a little baby sissy squat, and then you're going to push your hips back and lower down towards a malasana, a yogi squat. Okay, maybe if you're feeling like, actually I can take this sissy squat down, you could go a little bit lower until your hips get to your heels, then you push your hips back into your yogi squat. Okay, so just another few seconds there, trying that a few times. This is one of my favorite things to do because it just is really, really good for building mobility through the quadriceps, which tend to get quite tight. So we'll lower down as low as you can and push your hips back. Come into your malasana. Lower the hands down. And while you're here, we're just gonna make sure that the wrists are still warmed up nice and good. So you can just kind of walk your hands from side to side, maybe do a little side stretch. And whenever you feel ready, we're going to take a hop, or you can step, or you can walk through the plank. Bend your elbows all the way down to the mat. Inhale, press the tops of your feet down into the mat. Lift just the chest, the shoulders, the head without your hands. Then remember that's your upward facing dog position. Press your hands into the mat to lift up. Then take it through the abdominals into your downward facing dog. When you get to your downward facing dog, lift your right leg up. Really squeeze, use that right glute to lift your right leg a little bit higher. Take an inhale. As you exhale, draw the right knee towards your chin. Rock your shoulders forward over the wrists. Really press yourself away from the mat to create space for the leg underneath you. Lower the right foot down as close to your hands as you can get it. Step it forward if you need to. Squeeze your glutes. Draw Imagine you're trying to pull your legs together. Rise all the way up. Reach your arms high towards the ceiling. Bring your palms together. Take the thumbs to the back of the neck, but make sure that the rib cage isn't flaring out. Draw it in. Make sure that your pelvis isn't tilting forwards. Tilt it back. So a really strong crescent lunge here. Now, can you come up onto the tiptoes of the right foot? Now lower the right heel down, lift the right toes up, so you're just on the heel. Lower the toes back down, lift the heel, lower, lift the toes, lower. Cool. Once you got a feeling for that, we're going to move forwards and backwards with the back leg as well. So that back ankle is also going to be rocking a little bit. So as you come up onto the tiptoes, you rock forward, really point that left toe behind you. As you rock back into your heels, really stretch out the calf of that left leg as you press the heel back. Rock forward, rock back, come up onto the tiptoes, onto the heel, of the right foot. Rock forward onto the tiptoes, rock back. One more time, rock forward. Keep the elbows together. Try not to let your arms relax too much here. Rock back, good. Plant the right foot flat, extend the arms straight. Take an inhale, squeeze your glutes. Make sure that you haven't lost that activation. Don't lower the hands. Keep your arms up. Step off of your left foot. Bring it to meet the right. Come into a chair pose. Rock your weight slightly back towards your heels. Lower your hips nice and slowly. Down, 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 down to the mat. Maybe you need to use your hands to get your butt on the mat in a way that feels more graceful than just falling. Which way are we going? Bring your left hand. Point the fingertips back towards the back corner of your mat, just like we did at the beginning. Squeeze the glutes. Lift your hips up. Use your right arm to reach back towards the wall behind you. Squeeze the glutes. Open up through the front of the body. Breathe here. Keep squeezing the glutes. Think about that posterior tilt of the pelvis. And find this strength through the abdominals to stabilize your spine in this back bend. Take one more inhale here. As you exhale, bend the knees, lower the hips as close towards the heels as you can. Lift the left arm up, roll back onto your back. And again, if you want, you can just watch me real quick. We're going to go into what I call bridge push-ups. This is what it looks like. Do it with me if you want, or just watch, because I'll do it twice if you want to watch first. So first of all, tilt your pelvis back so the low back is touching the mat. Press down through the heels to lift your hips up so the glutes stay really active. Take the arms up and over, fingertips point back towards your feet. So fingers are coming under the shoulders. Try and pull your elbows in. And maybe you just push your hands into the mat and nothing happens. Maybe you push your hands into the mat enough that you can lift your shoulders up. And you're just going to lower the shoulders back down. And we're going to do 5 of those, okay? So if you're not with me, get with me now. Tilt the pelvis. Low back is on the mat. Press the heels down. Lift the hips up. Take the arms up and over. Fingertips point back towards the feet. And then press your hands into the mat as much as you can. Lift your shoulders as much as you can, and then just lower back down. Lift it up and lower. That's 2. Lift it and lower. That's 3. Lift, lower, lift, and lower. Good. Lower the hips back down. Roll yourself back up to a seated position. Once again, left hand comes back behind you. Sweep the right arm up and back. Squeeze your glutes. Lift up into this kind of, I don't know, what is this? Something in between like a reverse tabletop and a wheel pose. Lower your hips back down. Use your hands to help you. Get your hips over your feet so you come back into a squat. You may need to shimmy yourself back onto your mat, and you can do this with your hands to support you, or maybe if you've got the flexibility in your ankles and everything, you can do this hands-free. Can you come up onto the tiptoes, lift your heels, and gently lower your knees down to the mat. Lift your hips up off your heels. So you come into this kneeling position, and once again, give me that posterior tilt of the pelvis. Keep your toes tucked under. This is gonna help you. Keep your hands on your hips. Make sure that you don't lose that posterior tilt of the pelvis and your glutes stay active. Just like our sissy squats, we're gonna lean back a little bit. Maybe you can lean back quite far, but I'll warn you, coming back up is super challenging. And I don't want you going so far that you can't get back up, okay? So just go back a little ways because we're gonna add something to it now. What we're gonna do is just open up through the front body just a little bit and then close it again. So those crunches kind of moves here in this camel. So if you've gone too far back and you're like, oh, that's too much, just bring yourself forward a little bit. You can even just do it from neutral, okay? Just right here. But the further back you go, the harder you make it. So you open up through the abdominals and crunch it back again. Open it up, squeeze the glutes, crunch it back. The glutes to stay active the whole time. Open it up and crunch it back. I think 3 is enough. What do you think? All right. Sit the butt back, lift the knees up, stand all the way back up. And because I'm on carpet, my mat keeps bunching up. All right, so coming back to stand, take a deep breath. Let it all out. Maybe you're sweating already. I know I am. And we're gonna go for those sissy squats again. So remember, the feet can be about as wide as the shoulders, so wider than hip width distance. Your toes may even like to go a little bit out wide as well. They don't necessarily have to be parallel, but give me that posterior tilt, squeeze the glutes, come up onto the tiptoes, bend the knees. Remember, maybe it's just like that for you. Maybe that's enough. Go as far back as you can, where you can stand all the way back up again. And I'm working on going all the way down and being able to stand back up. I still have a ways to go. It's a work in progress, but it's fun. And when you've had enough of that, just stick your booty back to lower yourself into your malasana. Maybe you want to just kind of wiggle around here, shimmy around here if that feels good for you. Maybe you hate malasana and you're like, come on, Adell, can we please move on to the next thing? But remember, yoga asana, just like life itself, has parts of it that we don't like to be in, and we just have to sometimes look at the situation we're in and say, all right, this is where I am. How can I make the most of it? Having said that, we'll move on. Lower your hands down, take a step or a hop or a jump back, bend the elbows straight away, just lower yourself all the way down onto the mat. Bring the tops of the feet down to the mat. Lift up with the strength of your back body muscles and your glutes into the most active pre-upward facing dog you can do. Then lower the hands down and press yourself up into that upward facing dog. Contract your abdominals to lift the hips. Roll over onto the feet. Lift the hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Nice and familiar downward facing dog here. So just check your ribs aren't flaring out. Draw your ribs in. This is going to keep your shoulders, your spine nice and stable. Now lift your left leg up. Take an inhale. Really squeeze that left glute. See if you can get it a little bit higher. As you exhale, draw the left knee towards your chin. Rock the shoulders forward. Press your body away from the mat. Create a little bit more space underneath you. Softly, gracefully, with no effort at all, step that left foot between the hands, or maybe it's a lot of effort. Squeeze your legs together. Activate all the muscles as you rise up into your crescent lunge. Bring the palms of the hands together. Bend the elbows. Place the thumbs on the back of the neck or just in that direction if it doesn't quite get there. Try and keep the elbows in and reaching up towards the ceiling, but just check if your rib cage is flared out, draw it in. If your pelvis is tilted forward, tilt it back. Rise up onto the tiptoes of the left foot now. Lower the heel down. Can you lift the toes of the left foot? So you get a feel for that. Heel up, heel down, toes up, toes down. One more time there. Yep, got a little bit of a rock going with that right, with the left foot, and then add the right in. So really, as you come up onto the heel of the left foot, press the right heel back. So really keep the right glutes super active. Stretch out through the right heel, then rock forward. Come up onto the tiptoes of the left foot. Really squeeze that right leg. It's so hard to do this and talk at the same time. Cool, keep the elbows squeezing into each other. Rock forwards and back. Left heel up, left toes up. Forward to lift the heel, back to lift the toes. One more time, forward to lift the heel, back to lift the toes. Check if your ribs are flaring, if your elbows have dropped, if your glutes have softened. Reach the arms up, straight up overhead. Take a hop off of the left foot to bring it to meet the right. Quick transition through this chair pose as you sink the hips all the way down. Use your hands behind you if you need to. Lower everything down. This time the right hand is going to come back behind you to point towards the back corner of your mat. Remember, you want to use your glutes to get you here. So squeeze your glutes as you sweep the left arm up over your head, reach it to the wall behind you. Squeeze your glutes at the top. And breathe here. Think about using that posterior tilt of your pelvis to open up through the front of the hips, the quads. You can open up through the chest and the front of your belly as much as it feels nice, but just make sure you're doing it with activation and not just letting gravity kind of pull you there. One more breath here. As you exhale, lower the hips back down, right next to the heels. Pick the right hand up from behind you and roll back onto your back. So we're going to do our bridge push-ups again. And if you are feeling like, yeah, I do this all the time when I lift up to a wheel pose, I got it, then you can start to lift a little bit higher. But basically, this is just the movement to lift ourselves up to wheel pose becomes very challenging for a lot of people just because of the strength that it takes to lift up through here. So remember, first, tilt the pelvis, press the low back onto the mat, lift by pressing through the heels, lift the hips up, keep that posterior tilt, take the arms up and back with your fingertips pointing towards your heels, and we're going to do our bridge push-up. So maybe for you that just means that you're pressing your hands into the mat and you're not going anywhere, but as long as you're doing all you can and using your strength, then you are going to be you're on your way to being able to press your weight up. Now, if you're going to go up a little bit higher, up towards your wheel, the next step is you can take the head back and lower the top of your head onto the mat. Try not to put all of your weight in your head. Try to keep most of your weight in your hands, but your head can just give your arms a little bit of a breather. And maybe then you took your head, your chin back to your chest, and you're back into your bridge pose where you can take a little breather. All right? So those are your two options. We're going to do 5 of those just like before. So lift the shoulders. Maybe you touch the head to the mat and lower the shoulders down. Touch the head, lower down. Lift them up, lower them down. Lift them up, lower them down. How many is that? I think that's 5. That's good enough. Lower everything down. Roll back up. One more time. Take the right hand to the back of the mat. Use the glutes. Press the hips up. Posterior tilt through the pelvis. And stretch out through the front of the body. Lower the hips back down to your heels. Use your hands if you need to. Shimmy yourself forward. Maybe you don't need your hands. Maybe you need to do a little hop back. Can you lower the knees down to the mat in front of you. Now I'll give you a couple of options here. I know some of you are like, oh my God. Okay, I get it. I'm kind of right there with you. So if you don't want to do the camel movements again, you can just sit your hips back, bring your hands behind you, and just take a little bit more of a restful stretch here. Just stretch through those quads after all of that work. Or take a child's pose or whatever. Or if you want to do the abdominal things again with me, just like before, give me the posterior tilt of the pelvis. Make sure the ribs are down and in. Lean back just as much as you can. And then open up through that front part of the body, that section between your sternum and your pubic bone. And then close it back again. So leaning back, glutes stay active, open it up, and close. These are like the hardest version of crunches ever. But what we're doing is we're building strength, not just through this range of motion that we do normally with our crunches, but this range of motion that we do in our back bends. All right, I think we've done like 5 or so there now, right? So everybody now, sit your butt back. How are we doing for time? Cool. And you can just rest your hands back behind you. If you prefer, you can have the tops of the feet down and just stretch the quads out a little bit. Keep that posterior tilt a little bit through the pelvis. Try not to relax too far. Listen to any pain in your knees. And keep breathing. Cool. So you carry on now just while I explain what we'll do next, how I want you to move into wheel pose. Something about this sequence is really bunching my mat up. So what I want to see now, actually, while I explain this, here's what I want you to do. I want you to come into a puppy pose and press the armpits down, and you can play around with that same movement of doing little abdominal crunches in your puppy pose. Okay, so you do that while I explain. What we're going to do is move into our bridge pose. Our wheel pose. We're going to make sure that the glutes are stabilizing the pelvis by tilting the pelvis backwards, that posterior tilt that we've been doing. So the low back is flat, the heels are down, lift the hips up so the glutes are active, bring the arms up overhead. Now here's what a lot of people do then. They want to lift up and their shoulders are tight and they push back and their knees go forward. So I want you to think about when you press your shoulders up and you go towards that wheel pose, think about pressing straight up. So get the glutes active, lift up, maybe take the top of the head to the mat. Give yourself a little breather, take a breath. And then as you begin to straighten your arms, press with your legs to bring your chest as far over your hands as you can get it, so that you give a little bit more space in your low back as opposed to crunching back here. Take a few breaths there, lower back down. You can take that little breather on the top of your head, lower back down to the shoulders, then lower the hips last. Now, some of you I know are like, okay, Adell, you got to give me some more. This is easy peasy stuff for me. So if that's you, if you're thinking, yeah, okay, wheel pose, one leg up, okay? So same thing. So those are your options. We're going to do 2 more. So either with both legs down, remember, maybe you just stay here and you just push, you work on your bridge push-ups, or if you want to do this with one leg with me, get ready for a challenge. So tuck the tailbone under, lift the hips up, take the arms up and back, and press all the way up to your wheel pose. Try and press the shoulders open, the chest open. Bend into the elbows, lower the shoulders back down to the mat, lower the low back, and then the hips. Good. Everybody ready for one more? So if you did it with one leg, time to switch. Tilt the pelvis, lift the hips up, take the arms, up and over. Lift the shoulders, lift the head, press your chest back over your hands. Point your toes so it looks pretty. Just kidding, you don't have to. Breathe, smile. Lower the shoulders, lower the low back, and then the hips. Lower the feet back down. Cool. So, finally, as you breathe there with me, we're going to put the things together now. So, if you're like, whoa, I don't know if I can take any more, just respect that, and you can just keep, just do little bits here and there as you like, or keep working on something that we have touched on previously. The first thing that we're gonna have a little play with is taking I call these sissy camels, because like this is a camel pose, right? And we've got our sissy squat. So in my mind, I call this a sissy camel, where we lean back. So lean back, lean back, lean back, lean back. As far as you can, then take the hand back, open it up, okay? Then come all the way back up. Lean back, lean back, lean back, lean back. Take the left hand back, open it up. Come all the way back the way you came. Your quads will be sore tomorrow, by the way, if you're doing that. Okay? If any of you out there, Sarah, I know you'll be up for this, want to try going all the way back, then we take, instead of going to the side, we take both arms back in that position that we've been doing with our hands together and elbows bent, kind of halfway towards that position. Lean back, lean back, lean back, lean back. We're in this position that we've trained our strength in. We lower the hands down, lift the knees up, lower down, and come back. All right, super challenging. Please don't get down on yourself if you're like, oh, I cannot do that. It comes a time though, and all of these things that we've been doing are kind of like, just pieces of that movement to help you build the strength, the range of motion, the confidence to build up to that. So remember, it's just this kind of movement if you want to just work on that. We'll have a go at that one more time. And then we'll try one last thing. So you can just take it back wherever you are to whatever position, one side or the other, or maybe up overhead. Bring it into your wheel pose and take it back. If you get to your wheel pose and you're like, I ain't coming back, that's cool too, just lower down. Just make sure as you do this that you're moving in a way that you can keep the glutes active, you can keep the spine stabilized. So finally, we'll play around with bringing our sissy squat into this same movement. And again, we've got options here. So tiptoes, remember, posterior tilt, bend the knees. You can do a little sideways sissy squat and play around with that movement that we did right at the beginning. Come back up, do it on the other side. Maybe you don't go that far. Maybe you just do these kinds of things. Maybe you grab a chair and you just go halfway down. It's all good. I think if it makes you feel empowered, if it makes you feel good, if you're having fun, then you're doing it right. But finally, we still have time. Finally, if you would like to take like a full drop back, but using this sissy squat kind of movement, we do tiptoes, bend the knees, keep this like a statue for as long as we can, and finally up and over into a wheel pose. Standing back up is another challenge in itself, and this is obviously quite challenging, okay? So Remember, you can just be down here working on your bridge push-ups or using a wall, getting a friend to help you. Just please keep the glutes active, move, think about, can I go this far and then come back up again? And if you get to a point where gravity takes over and you don't have control, that's your stopping point, okay? So we don't have time to stick with this any longer, and obviously I can't see any of you, so we'll just call it a day for now, but of course that's always open to you to keep working on. It is one of my favorite ways to play around with backbends. So if you're ready, if you're not already collapsed on the floor waiting for me, we'll roll back onto our back and just breathe and recalibrate our spine after all that back bending. So hug your knees into your chest. I didn't mention before, when you're doing deeper kind of back bends like wheel pose, it can be a good idea to stay out of a flexion kind of shape of the spine in between. So do avoid hugging your knees into your chest until you're finished with your back bending practice. So you can just circle the knees around for a little bit, calm your breath. Extend your left leg straight. Hug your right knee into your chest. Take the left hand to the outside of the right knee. Extend your right arm straight out over to the right side of you. And slowly, gently guide your right knee over towards the left. And breathe here. You can use the left hand to support that knee. Don't feel you have to push yourself into a twist, just like you don't have to push yourself into anything. One more breath here. As you exhale, roll back onto your back. Bring the left knee into your chest. Extend the right leg straight. Give your left knee a little hug. Extend the left arm over to the left. Take the right hand to the outside of the left knee. Inhale. As you exhale, just gently guide the left knee over towards the right. Breathe here. Maybe put a big smile on your face. Maybe you're feeling like you've opened up. I hope so. And roll back onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest one more time. Option is to extend the legs straight up over your over your hips. Or if you want, you can pull your feet back towards your head, lift the hips up. Maybe bring your hands to your low back, come into a little bit of a shoulder stand, something here, whatever feels good. I quite like to do an upside down, like reclined, I guess, Paschimottanasana, just lowering my hips back down towards the floor. They don't touch all the way, bringing my knees towards my head and slowly rolling down one vertebra at a time. Take a moment here now. Close your eyes. Bring yourself back to that space where we began, where you allowed your mind to become quiet and still, and your focus was just on your body. And you use that focus, that awareness, to just make any last movements that you feel your body needs. So that you can comfortably and with ease extend your legs out nice and wide to the corners of your mat. Allow your palms to rest down by your sides, palms facing up. And tuck your chin ever so slightly towards your chest so you lengthen out the back of your neck. Close your eyes if they're not already. And breathe. Breathe fully. Allow the breath to expand down towards your belly. And with the exhale, melt your muscles, melt any tension. Let go of any tightness, any sensations of needing control. Just let it all go and let your mat, let the earth beneath you support you. Let go of any control and surrender to Mother Earth, pulling you gently and lovingly towards her loving embrace. If your mind wanders, bring it back to your breath. Let the exhale be your guide to taking a step a little bit deeper towards stillness and relaxation. I invite you to stay here for as long as you feel you need, as long as you're comfortable and easy. It's so important to take these moments to rest, to be truly relaxed. But if you're ready, you can begin to bring a little bit more movement into your body, maybe just starting with your fingers and your toes, letting that work up to your wrists, your elbows, your ankles, and your knees, and hug your knees into your chest. Roll over onto one side. Take a moment of gratitude. It's very easy to forget all of the wonders and the blessings around us that we've got. But no matter what's going on in the world around you, you've always got this part of you that exists beyond your body, beyond your thoughts, beyond your emotions. This constant truth. So hold on to that as you slowly bring yourself up to a seated position. And with one more deep breath in, take the palms together at heart center. And exhale out through your nose. Bring your chin down to your chest. Namaste. And whenever you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Thank you again so much for joining me. Cannot believe how quickly that hour went by. Yeah. Thank you. So remember, I'm doing one more of these next Sunday. It will be morning time, London. But you can always join the recording afterwards. And so yeah, I hope that I will see you all there. And then after that live class, once we get into May, I will resume uploading classes onto my YouTube channel. So make sure and subscribe. And Oh, I was going to ask you guys something. And I can't remember now. Oh, well. Cool. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again. And yeah. Can't you continue online video in May? So I'm going to be doing something different in May. Well, first of all, May 10th, I'm teaching a 2-hour-long workshop on hollowbacks. So hollowbacks, in case you're not sure, that's when you do like this kind of shape. So that it's really fun. I'm doing that with Indaba Yoga Studio. So I need to get that on my website, but it's on theirs. But also in May, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different with Instagram Live. I'm going to be doing something around creative sequencing, getting people involved. I'm going to do a little bit of a challenge. You guys are the first to know about it. I haven't said anything about it publicly yet. But yeah, I'll be giving away some of those for free to people who get involved. So that's what I'm going to be doing in May, is something a little bit different. But oops, sorry. But yeah, the normal uploads onto YouTube will resume in May. So cool. If you do have any questions or anything at all, any feedback for me, please write me an email, or I don't always see my DMs on Instagram, so write me an email. Yeah. Thank you again. Namaste. Bye.